Hi, everybody. This is April Lindevald, doing my usual twice a month Merlin channel and discussion and whatever he has planned for us today. Very excited to start this today on a new platform called StreamYard. I probably never would have made this shift except for the urging of Rachel, our wonderful mentor. And she has actually set this all up for me real easy. And I have to say, it's a pretty awesome platform. It's got all kinds of bells and whistles that I wouldn't have had on Facebook. And we can broadcast on Facebook and on YouTube simultaneously. So, like, before I go any further, I see comments showing up from Heidi and from Lolita. Hi, lovely to see you. I also have a page for Facebook set up just to make sure this is actually coming across. But you give me confidence and hope that it is working because I know there's going to be a little bit of a delay. And right now I can't see myself on Facebook. So I should probably just hold on. I'm going to just try to make sure that there's going to be a little bit of technical stuff today because it's the first time I'm doing this and I want to make sure it's working. And I can't tell. I know there's a delay. And I still don't see myself on Facebook. Why is it not working? All right, let me just refresh the page again. Oh, look at all these people. Hi, Michelle, Danielle. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay, so I don't know why it's not showing up, but maybe I'll check later. Oops, I just actually got out of there. So let me just try it one more time. And I want to welcome you all. This is, like I said, it's our first time, and some of the other tag team people may switch to this platform because it just gives us a better outreach. We can reach people who are not on Facebook, and we also get a chance. Like, look at the background. I have it's really wonderful. I have. Wait a minute. Oh, there I am. Okay. All right, good. I'm confident that it's working. It's a little bit delayed, and I see and the comments are actually showing up on StreamYard, which I was warned it might not. All right, good. So this is great. I'm going to just go back to this other, great. And now I can, all right, good. So this is an exciting day. Because we're doing this, but also because we have some interesting things to discuss. Uh, Merlin was very vague. I think we're going to get a bit of a potpourri today, but he wants to tell us a few more tricks to use because he's very aware of the fact that, we have retrograde Mercury. One reason I was so worried about the technology is because we're in retrograde Mercury for a few more days. I think it's the October 2nd, that October 1st or 2nd that it ends. And I don't know about you, but for me and for everybody I've talked to, there's been a real intensity of those kind of glitches that happen during retrograde Mercury, technology, mechanics, things breaking, um, communication problems. Oh my goodness. And it's also been other planets are retrograde as well. And there's just been a lot of heavy energy, a lot of difficulties, emergencies, illnesses, um, nasty surprises, just a lot of challenges. And I know that this is all sort of like, I've spoken about this before, that sometimes when there's a huge amount of really powerful good energy, positive, light, bright energy flooding the planet and urging us forward, it kind of stirs up the crap. It kind of sends a shadow. It hits against all the human miscreations, and we get a shadow, and all this sort of purging happens, and that's on a grand level worldwide, as we can see with terrible devastation of Hurricane Ian and the war in Ukraine and all these other natural disasters that are happening, and financial problems, and oh my God, political problems. So all of that is like the sort of like stirring up of the muck that we have created over eons. to purge it, to get it to come out to the surface, to be faced, to be transmuted into something wonderful and replaced by this positive energy, because you can't hold both at the same time. The space of earth cannot hold both all of the wonderful, intense positive energy that's coming and all of the negative crap that's been here. So we have to experience it to an extent. But I feel like with all of the stuff that we are getting all this help, especially through this group, these healings, these hints, these magical hacks, the things that we can do to help to protect ourselves personally and our families and our stuff, so that we walk through things like a little more lightly. And I know that it's not a guarantee. I know that many of you, if there's anybody here who lives in Florida, or if there's anybody here who is experiencing some like really profound difficulties, Merlin understands that, and that's why he wants to come on and bring us these tricks that help to soften the blow a little bit. And he wants to encourage us with the confidence that this is temporary and that we're walking through a dark tunnel, so to speak. But there are a lot of points of light that we can cling on to, and then we're going to get on the outside of it, on the other side of it, and it's going to be like well worth the trip. So anyway, that's my first introduction. I want to say now I want to jump to the theme of the tag month, which was if you've had the master class and the attunement, you know that we've been working with these dwarves, which are sort of new to us, and they have the function apparently right now of trying to give us also more shortcuts into helping ourselves get on our best ascension, highest timeline path. And they were saying that there are all these like other timelines, other alternate realities, so to speak, these overlays, and they wanted to help us very quickly try to peel them away and have dissolve the ones that are not suiting, not aligned with our highest good, and help us to sort of like go forward and on the highest timeline, the easiest timeline, without all these other alternate realities. And this was sort of blowing my mind because I always ask that Metatron expand my mind and my capacity to understand some very, very big concepts that are beyond the human mind and the time space continuum's ability to comprehend. And I do get I get a lot, and I try to translate it into like analogies and parables that people can understand. That's part of my job, is as a communicator and a translator. But now we have, there's a little confusion, because now we have, okay, here we are, we're here, we're ourselves, and we are on this 3D timeline, sort of aspiring to 5D, some of us closer than others, maybe in 4D already. But then we have past lives, which we find out are not past lives. They are simultaneous lives. They are lives that our soul is living in different time periods, and sometimes, well, different time periods, first of all at the same time. And then we learn that we are living them sometimes in different places, like different planets, perhaps, or different cultures. And then we learn that there are dimensional lifetimes, that we may be also having experiences in other dimensions at the same time, multidimensional, and we're trying to learn to move between the dimensions to have different perspectives. And then we learn that there are sort of alternate timelines. Well, no, what would we call this? Well, the dimensional thing is a big deal, because every time you see some kind of sci-fi or occult or let's say supernatural subject that enters the popular culture in a big wave, in a flood, you know that that is a download from somewhere up there. They're trying to gently educate us as to what the truth of the universe is on a bigger level, but it comes through the artists first. It comes through the writers, the imaginers, the people who make TV shows and movies, the people who write books, and we're getting this like huge flood of multidimensional stuff. Those of you who like the Marvel universe, there's like a whole slew of TV series and movies now that are dealing with multidimensional universes all crossing and people encountering other extra versions of each other that look different or that behave differently or that have had different adventures on a different timeline. So that is going on. And it is not 100%. I mean, they're channeling information. They may not know they're channeling information, and it's channeled through their own psyche, their own understanding of things. So it's not entirely 100% true, but it's definitely tapping into something. And then we have also a lot of books about at the time. I just watched a show about the time traveler's wife. So time travel and bending of time and time being fluid and questionable instead of like, a linear thing. That's coming into the popular culture. So we have all these things, and now we have these overlays. These overlays are more like, I don't think they're the same thing as a multidimensional version of ourselves. They're kind of like an alternate reality that this soul and this life is having now. And what it is I think, and Merlin, I'm going to let Merlin sort of speak on this because it's beginning to be so many layers of information that I'm not sure I understand the difference between some of these things. And I'm sure you're as confused as I am. Anyway, we have every moment of our lives that we're moving through the timeline of the third dimensional timeline, time-space continuum. We make choices. That's the whole journey. The whole point of this is that we learn we have free will and we make choices. We're presented with options. We're presented with possibilities and we make choices. And every choice we make leads us into a different direction, a different timeline. Hi, Rachel. Very nice to see you. I think this is working really well, actually. So far, I've had no problems. And I'm speaking now. Merlin hasn't come on yet, so you didn't miss much. And thank you for all the help setting up, Rachel. Anyway, so we've got these choices, and every time there's a choice, we veer off into another kind of a yay. Rachel says it's working fine. Yay, she tracked everything. This is very exciting. See, I got a banner of Tag Team Live around me, and my name is there, and I even have a banner to put up later. I'm so excited. I haven't been able to do this stuff before. It looks so professional. Anyway, back to these alternate overlays. We make a choice and we go off in a new direction and new adventures. And I believe that our souls have chosen certain key points. I used to call them thumbtacks. That our souls have certain points along the way that are hard and fast. We've come here, we've made a decision. This is the person we're supposed to marry. This is maybe the career we're going to get into. This is a moment when we have a life-changing event, perhaps an accident or an illness or a good thing, a promotion or we're discovered, somehow, or a book gets published or something. These are all decided on the soul level before we come here. But the rest of it is all kind of like this windy adventure where we have choices that we choose. And there's a great book about that too, called The Midnight Library. If anybody has a chance and hasn't read The Midnight Library, go out and get The Midnight Library. I can't remember the guy's name that wrote it, but somebody recommended it and I read it. It's amazing. It's about a woman whose life is in the toilet on every level. And she tries to commit suicide. And in the moment she commits suicide, it's frozen. And she goes to this place called the Midnight Library, where they allow her to try every other lifetime that was possible for her when if she had made different choices. And we see her go through all these different lifetimes, which she assumes would have been better, would have given her more. But every time she gains something in one of these lifetimes, she loses something as well. So you can pretty much guess what is coming out at the end, what realization she may have, although it's still full of surprises at the end. So that's another book that taps into this sort of like alternate. What if we made a different choice? So if we made a different choice, this is why as a tarot reader, I no longer do any fortune telling, so to speak. I can tell people what patterns, they can ask me what's going to happen. And I can say, all right, this is a pattern. This is what my guides are saying. This is where you're headed. This is what you are attracting. This is what your actions and your thoughts and your energy is attracting, unless you change it, unless you make different choices. Because I believe with free will, there's not very much that's hard and fast. Not very much is written in stone. And fortune tellers will go around saying, oh, this is what's going to happen. This is definite. They're reading the most likely future, but not the only future. And that's why we're never completely right. So I don't really do that anymore. I know I'm babbling, but it's all about the overlays. I get the impression that these overlays are they're like a shadow. They're a shadow part of us where we kind of like we're sitting here, we're faced with a choice, and we have like we have to make a decision about which direction we're going. And our consciousness is so powerful in the multidimensional universe that we can actually send out sort of like tendrils of ourselves. Like this part, all right, how about, what if we make this choice? You go ahead and experience that reality. And then you go ahead and experience this reality. And I'm going to stick on this path here. And then we'll all kind of converge at a certain point and we'll compare notes and see what one we want to keep or what one is the best. I mean, it's kind of the way I understand it. I'm not sure if that's right. We'll see if Merlin says anything about that. But then somebody also said that there are, and these are like short term, they're smaller, but they can get in the way because they can lead us off of our real soul path. And that's why the doors are trying to help us get rid of all these overlays that are kind of clogging up the works. It's almost as if you had, you had something going in a direction and then it kind of frays off and has all these things that get it stuck in the tunnel. So we have to sort of like get rid of all of those extra pieces and get on our highest timeline. And that's not our alternate self in another dimension. It's more like getting this dimensional part of ourselves that's having this adventure into a smooth and clear, chosen ascension timeline. I think that's what it is. At least that's my limited understanding of it now. And if you want to, feel free to post your own theories later on in the comments. That would be great because it'll make a huge, wonderful discussion. Okay, so with that in mind, somebody said to me the other day, and here we are discussing this for this month, and I'm doing a reading for somebody the other day, and this client tells me a story that he had to put his dog down, which was very, very sad. The dog got pneumonia and was very, very sick, and there, there wasn't very much they could do for it. And he said he and his brother, he's young, he's in college. He and his brother took the dog emergency to the emergency vet, and they were immediately ushered into a room, an inside room, where they were standing with the dog and they were trying to do tests and blood tests and oxygen and seeing if there was anything that could be done to save the dog. In the meantime, they had called their mother, who was very close to the dog. And they waited and waited and waited. And then these two guys, who are brothers, but not twins, they both heard out in the lobby through the door, which was very thin. They heard a voice that was very familiar saying, uh, okay, I'm here. And they heard the receptionist say, are you here for Coco? Which is the dog's name. And the person said, yes, where should I go? And they looked at each other and they nodded and they thought, mom's here. And they waited and they waited and they waited, and 15 minutes went by and nobody showed up in the room. And they were like, where the heck is she? So one of them took out their cell phone and called. And she said, what are you talking about? I'm still on the road. I'm trying to get there. And they looked at each other and said, but we clearly heard your voice and we heard the receptionist say, are you here for Coco? She said, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm not there yet. So anyway, even though the story does not have a happy ending, I thought it was very strange that this guy's telling me this story at this moment when we're talking about alternate realities. And the only thing I could think of, because they both agreed that they heard this clearly. And they asked the receptionist afterwards, was our mother here? Did you say something to somebody about Coco? And the receptionist said, no, nobody else has come in. So the only thing I could think of was that in some sort of like in their grief, in their solidarity too, there was like a shift, a crack, and maybe they were experiencing together a moment of one of these kind of like cross of an alternate reality, of an overlay. Something happened, which was another choice. Another possibility was that their mother had arrived sooner. I don't know whether that would have changed anything about the outcome. I would say likely not. But I think it's like possible timelines. It just kind of like they had a moment where it just kind of crossed together and then went back to the original. We kind of leaked in. I can't think of how else that could have been. What else? They swear that they did not make it up. So and lots of people are experiencing things like that and saying they don't know what happened. So this is a really interesting subject that bears more study and more opening our minds to ways of seeing the universe in ways that are not linear. Very difficult for us. I also want to say that before I let Merlin come in, because he wants to give us a couple more exercises that are really helpful in navigating this kind of really complicated and heavy and difficult time. Challenging, at least, let's say, not difficult. Yes, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. That is the one. Yeah. If you can read that book, it's really cool. It's also very short little chapters, so it's like a great book for reading a chapter before bed. And then, and it just held my interest the whole time. It's great. Okay, so I'm going to let Merlin give you some more magical exercises that are going to help. But first, I'm going to tell you my experience with the last one. Some of you were here for Merlin's last channeling when he gave us like a birthday party and he was giving us presents from the cosmos. And one of the cosmos was a little container, a beautiful container that was filled with like sparkly confetti, which he called Merlin's magic dust. So it was like Merlin's magic dust. And he said, it's a tool for you to shift your impression of things so that things go better. It's magic dust to lift the vibration of whatever situation you're dealing with, or the difficult people you're dealing with, or the thing you dread, or the conversation you dread, or the task that you really are scared about. I believe that the magic in this is really in us. The magic dust is a way to trick our minds into getting out of the fear modality, getting out of the dread modality, getting out of the heaviness modality, and instead believing that we're doing the magic of lifting everything up into the place where we're powerful, we can change our reality, which is all true, except it's not true if we don't believe it. So a magical tool helps us to zoom in on that possibility that we have the power to shift things into a higher and easier, and it's the same as easy street in a way, but Merlin's way of saying it. Well, so I'm having the same sort of challenging couple of weeks as everyone else. And I suddenly remembered that I had this new tool, and I swear I sprinkled that shit on everything this week. Sorry for the language, but it was awesome. Every time I thought to myself, "Oh, I have to wake up tomorrow and do this really difficult day, and blah, blah, I have so much to fit into it." And so I went, "Nope, gonna take my little magic dust. I'm gonna even the night before, I would say, I'm sprinkling this magic dust on my whole day so everything goes easier and my car works and I get everywhere on time and it's all much easier than I think it's gonna be." Do you know it worked? And then I was like tasks that I didn't really want to do, I would sprinkle magic dust on it. It went fine. Um, Everything was easier than I thought it was going to be. I was in a cheerful mood. Um, Things that broke, or things that I was afraid were going to be expensive, I would sprinkle magic dust and it ended up being not as bad as I thought. I'm telling you, these little things that he's giving us, they may seem silly, they may seem juvenile, but, do it. They work, and the reason they work is because there's a much deeper concept underneath it. It's about convincing ourselves that we are the creators, we are powerful, we can affect not only energies, but, like, matter and energy and the way our reality goes. So that's a lot of me talking for today. And I'm going to just take a really quick check to make sure there's nothing I need to answer here. Magic dust. Okay, so if you weren't here for that thing about the magic dust, I just gave it to you again. And just imagine that you're carrying it with you wherever you go. It's with you. And you can take in any time and just christen the heck out of everything. The belief that you heal will heal you. That's what Jesus said, yeah. And any tools that we can think of that bypass our reflexes of doubt and discouragement are going to help us get through everything with the kind of light and power that we've been cultivating all this time through this group and through everything else that we do. All right, so let's see what he has to say. I know he's got a few other things to add that he kind of hinted at, and I bet you he's going to surprise me too because he didn't tell me a whole lot. Of course, try it. Try anything. The worst that can happen is nothing, right? And the best that can happen is you really shift reality, or at least you lift it up at least a little, which always helps. I'll take anything. All right, let's see if we can get Merlin in. Oh, my dear friends and initiates, my students, my loved ones, my beloveds, you are so strong and so powerful, and you don't know it. And you are so brave walking through the earth plane at this time of great chaos and turbulence everywhere. We are very aware in the next plane of all that you are going through. And yes, on earth, there have always been chaos and turbulence, and there have been times which were perhaps darker in some ways, but there has probably never been this much very quick and very um, challenging and shifting ground ever in the history of Earth, because we are all in agreement that ascension must happen quickly. And the quickness of how everything must change is causing a sense of your footing being, the rug being pulled out from under you all the time. Even doing everything right, even having your spiritual practice, even fastening yourself on hope and meditation and on the light, there are things in your practical world which are challenging. And we are aware of this, and we appreciate your steadfastness and your courage to just keep going, to just keep going and keep applying the principles you have learned, to keep your feet on the ground, to keep grounded to Mother Earth, to keep connected to your source energy, which is all that you are, to know that you are so much bigger and so much more than what you were told you were or what you thought you were. You are not just one single soul in a body living a single lifetime. You are a large, expansive collection of beautiful energy which has congealed into a single soul having experiences across the universe and across time, and growing the experience of Creator Source God by your brave adventures. And you have the power to tap into your source energy and to affect all of the realities in which you travel. But it was necessary for your education and for your growth that some of this was hidden from you. But now that you are aware of what you are capable of, you must work to overcome your own doubts, your own skepticism, your own discouragements, your own belief, lack of belief and trust in yourself and in what you cannot see. And so we give you these magical tools, which are magical, they are light, they are energy, but they are also triggers for your own mind to step out of the way and allow your heart and your soul to work the wizardry that you are capable of. So, yes, use the magic dust. Sprinkle it on anything that you perceive to be challenging, difficult, anything you dread, anything you wish to heal, anything you wish to help. And there are several other things I wish to share with you today, which might be helpful, at least to some of you. First thing I wish to share with you is a way to magnetize all of the energies you have at your disposal towards the preferred result that you wish. A way to create the future, so to speak, with your mind. And instead of having all of those tendrils of alternate possibilities and alternate overlays of trying things out, you will focus all your energies on the result that you want and not necessarily the path to get there. This is important because it streamlines the process and brings in a sort of a natural magnetism through the law of attraction. All we would ask you to do is when you have a situation where there is definitely a preferred desired outcome, a certain healing, a certain job, a certain promotion, a certain finding of a house or finding of or small things even, to be able to accomplish what you have set for your day, um, or to excel at something, a test or a performance that you need to do. What we would like you to do, see, you are on this timeline now in the third dimension, which is flat, and you are looking from one perspective only, and that is the perspective of coming from before and going to after and moving through the thing that you are nervous about. And there, you're not looking from your soul's perspective or my perspective, which is above, and seeing all the possibilities and potentials of energy, which will influence this outcome. And so, from your perspective of before, looking straight on to this thing that's coming at you like a freight train, we wish for you to stop being afraid, to stop worrying, to stop imagining worst case scenarios or possibilities or alternate realities. We wish for you to decide on the outcome you wish, the outcome you prefer. And then we wish for you to also open that a little to us, to say, all right, this is my preferred outcome, unless there is something more important for my soul or something even better that the angels have in mind for me. That would be a good thing to add, because sometimes we know better than you do what the best possible outcome is. So you can also say best possible outcome, but you need to sort of have at least a picture of how you would like things to turn out. Because what we'd like you to do is to stop in your tracks and then breathe and place yourself ahead in the future. Move your consciousness into the future after the thing is finished that you are concerned about. And we wish for you to place yourself there and already know that it has been accomplished with great ease and the best possible results. And we wish for you to experience the after party, so to speak, the after conversations, the sensory details, the joy of having done well, the joy of finishing, the joy of acing something or excelling, the conversations you might have with friends and family and others, the congratulations you might receive, the smile on your face, the wings on your heart. I will give you an example from this channel's experience, which she has tried this and it worked well. She is a singer, and there was a time when she was asked to sing a song which the range was a little high for her comfort level. But it was important that she do the song as requested. And so she practiced and practiced and practiced diligently and only achieved the result of a good performance in practice maybe 50 or 60% of the time. And the rest of the time, some of the top notes, there was one top note which eluded her and was not good. And she was very frightened and very nervous. And as the performance approached, she began to think this was going to be a very disastrous occasion. And she had heard about this technique, which I am telling to you now, and tried to execute it. The night before the performance, she concentrated on placing herself in the future just after the song had been sung. And she thought to herself, nailed it, nailed it. I'm amazing. I did it. It was fabulous. That's the best I ever did it. And then she imagined people coming up to her and saying, that was so beautiful. We loved that. You were amazing. We had no idea you had such beautiful high notes. It was great. and feeling good about the compliments and feeling accomplished that she had done what she promised. And then she came back to her reality and went to sleep and trusted that this would work. And so what she has done with that and what you will do with this is gather together all the threads of possibilities, the possible failure, the possible half failure, the possible cancellation, the possible devastation of feeling failed, the possible success, but not so good of a success. All of these threads that go off in many different directions. What she has done is already put the destination. This is where we're going. It's already there. I've already made it real. I've already had the sensations. I have heard the compliments. I have felt the feelings. And what that did was suck them all together, all of these pathways, into one grooved pathway. There was only one possible pathway to that result, and all the energy is now focused in that direction. There were no more possibilities of other realities. And so when she went the next day, she let it go. She did the song the best she could, and it went exactly the way she did in her dream. Everything was perfect. The note was beautiful. She felt unbelievably good about accomplishing her goal, and many people came up and gave her compliments and made her feel even better about her achievement. This is a small example and can be applied to much bigger things. And yes, there are moments where either our levels of doubt, which cannot necessarily be raised all in one attempt, or the fact that your soul has been marked to have a certain lesson that it needs to go through a challenge in order for it to grow. These things may make this exercise secondary. In other words, it will work most of the time. There are moments where it does not work as you hope it will because there are other factors at play that are more important than that trump it. But for the most part, this is a very, very good technique to approach difficult things and help them move as you point them, move as you create them, move in the direction that you wish and imagine and envision and embody. And so we wish for you to try this exercise, and we wish for you to put your faith in the fact that it will make your life easier. And as you practice it more and more, you will begin to have absolute confidence that you truly are creating your own reality. And now, for a second thing that I would like to offer to you, we are having this discussion about multiple dimensionalities, multiple lifetimes, multiple past and present and future lifetimes, and intersections of, oh, there is such a confusing, from this perspective where I'm living in the midst of a time-free space, which helps me to be accustomed to the multiplicity of things and the sense of flow around all of it. It is difficult to express in words that your brains can understand. I will address that a little bit later, but first I will give you this technique, which is interesting. Most of you have had many, many experiences as a soul already. There are a few who are new to the embodiment, the incarnation routine. But most of you have had many, many experiences, and many of the early ones were in other places, other planets. Many of them were on Earth in different places and times, and some of them are in what you would call future times, although that gets even more complicated. So I will not dwell on that. But I will say to you that every single time your soul goes through a lifetime, it is like a sponge. It soaks up experience and lessons and positive and negative things that happen, failures and successes. And all of that is stored and archived. You have heard of the Akashic records, of course, where much of that information is stored, but it is also held in your soul star chakra, in the part that Archangel Mariel, the great magenta angel of summer and of your soul, holds the information of your soul's adventures as if it were a great volume, a great book, with all the different experiences that you've had right there. Some of them have been hidden and shielded from you. Most of them have been, so that you could have an individual lifetime each time without being influenced by previous experiences. But now, as we move into fifth dimensional consciousness, and as you work as light workers to bring others into the path of ascension, and as you strive to find your own highest ascension timeline and pathway, it becomes more important for you to have every tool at your disposal that you possibly can have and that you are entitled to. We wish for you to have at your disposal everything you might need to be a leader, to hold fast to your path, to be courageous when things get difficult. And sometimes what that would involve is to tap into talents, skills, qualities that you may have had in past lives, which are not as pronounced in this life. And I say the term past lives very guardedly. It is just a term that you use and that you know what I am talking about. I mean, additional lifetimes, let's put it that way, so that we do not confuse ourselves with time. And so I wish for you to think of your entire experience right now as what you would call a Rolodex. Perhaps for some of you with your smartphones, Rolodexes are something you've never seen or that are outmoded. But you probably at least remember this form of storage of information, which is like a wheel of cards that can be spun and the cards sifted through. And each of the cards on it has a name and information about that person. And so if your entire experience in your soul's adventures is like a Rolodex, and every one of the lifetimes that you have experienced or are experiencing simultaneously somewhere is cataloged on one of those cards with the name you had, the personality, the skills, the talents, the initiations, the failures, the successes, the learning that you had, it is all there. It is all accessible. It is all able to be found. Now, you do not have the keywords, so to speak. You could think of it as a computer database as well, if that is more to your liking, that you just type in something and up comes that particular thing. So either one of these images will work depending on your generation. But what I mean to say to you is that there are times in every human's life when they must confront things and they may wish they had more skill or more personality quality, a quality of being or a skill or a talent that would help them be a better match for the event or the circumstance. For example, if you would be required to be fierce and stand up for your rights or stand up for someone else's rights or to march into a situation where you could be in danger, but it is the right thing to do. But you feel that in this lifetime, you are a peacemaker or you are a shy person or an introvert, someone who is not, that is not your special skill. You may say at that moment, Great Archangel Mariel, connect me with the lifetime where I had the most fierceness, the most ability to lead and to stand up for myself and others, to be strong, to be assertive. Ask for the lifetime or lifetimes where you were captain, where you were a governor, where you were a warrior. and take the energy from that lifetime into the moment that you are in. It is magical and you can do it. It is there for you. It belongs to you. If you have a need to be particularly sensuous and sexy, for example, in order to have a certain result or a certain good time, even in order to enjoy, but it is not your forte. You may ask for connection with a time and a lifetime where that was at the forefront. If you need to be particularly clear thinking and smart, if you need to have the brain of a scientist or a logician, ask to be connected with the lifetime that you lived where those traits were primary, where you were brilliant in the mind, where you were an a pioneer or a thinker of great accomplishment. If you need to have stamina to get through a long series of demands on you, ask for connection with the lifetime in the Rolodex where you were strong and adventurous and where you were able to withstand great privation or great demands on your physical being. This can be for big and small things. These things are integrated into your spirit, but they are not always known by you. You do not always have awareness of all of the inner resources that you have accumulated in your many lives. And so these kinds of your knowledge of the fact that you are a larger than one single person in one single body in one single personality, this is an example of something where it can help you. It can help twist the diamond of your being a little bit so that you see another facet of yourself and bring it to the forefront. Even if it does not stay there for long, it will be there and shine through at the moment it is most needed. And then you can let it go back to the archive if you wish. Or if it serves you better and you like the feeling of being stronger or smarter or more of a warrior or more sensual, you may keep these things in your present condition. They are now more available to you than ever. And if you ask Archangel Mario to help you to access it in the instant, it will be so. So these are magical things which will help you. The magic dust to raise the vibration of everything that you encounter, to make it easier, to make it more fun, to make it a more positive outcome. The power to migrate yourself and your consciousness into the future to create an outcome for something which will groove in the path in between so that no other outcome is possible. And the power to access the strengths and the talents and the traits and the qualities from other lifetimes you have experienced when needed, at need, without changing the personality you have in this incarnation. All of these things are more tricks that will help you to navigate your way through a dense and difficult environment so that you do not fall victim to disappointment and discouragement when challenges arise and you feel ill-equipped to face them. Let me tell you, you are all equipped. You have not only all the equipment you have accumulated over eons, but you have us behind you. And where you feel that you are lacking, of course, it is always also encouraged for you to just ask for help. Call on your dragons for fierceness and protection. Call on your unicorns for healing and for light and clarity. Call on me to transmute and transform your experience into something positive and uplifting. Call on your guardian angels to guide and lead you through everything in the most safest and most beautiful way. These are ways in which we hope to uplift you and help you to feel protected and help you to feel supported and help you to feel not only supported by our power, but closer and closer to accessing your own power, which is the goal, of course, for you to know yourself as divine and powerful and beautiful and capable. And now, for some minutes, I will hold forth as I can to try to sort out for you these ideas of alternate universes, multiverses, and overlays, and to see if we can distinguish between some of them. And so I think the channel is beginning to have an understanding of these things. They are difficult to explain in verbiage that you use and that your brain can understand, but we can make a try. Yes, when I speak of the Rolodex of your past experiences or your lifetime experiences, that is the many incarnations you have had. As a soul, you come into a body, embody yourself, are embodied in some sort of, well, in other planets and other dimensions, sometimes it's hard to say in the flesh, but in some sort of lifetime, limited lifetime in a body of sorts. On Earth, it's in the flesh. You could be an animal, even. You could be a being from another race in the cosmos too. But many of you have had many lifetimes on the earth or are having lifetimes on the earth in times and places in that you would call past, present, and future. And so, yes, it is entirely possible, for example, for you to find yourself or an aspect of yourself in a time and a place, living a life that actually overlaps with another lifetime. You do not need to discount this because it is possible. You are a person of many aspects, a soul of many aspects, a soul of many facets. And so, for example, if you thought you were a survivor of the Holocaust that had gone through the horrors of the Holocaust, but you did not pass away until 1960, but you presently were born in 1953, it is still possible that you were in both of these lifetimes, even though they intersect. And that is because another facet of yourself perhaps has decided that this is a valuable experience, and once you are back out of the body and you are planning the next entry, you could enter anywhere, and that is a new concept to many of you. All right, so we understand ourselves, however, that these are lifetimes. Now, multidimensional, oh my goodness, the multidimensional universe, we speak of it in different ways in this group. When we speak of many dimensions, we often speak of higher and lower dimensions, a hierarchy of density. And that is because here you are in the third dimension, which is a certain amount of density, which means that there's a certain amount of reality and sensory denseness is the only word I can think of. A certain amount of definition to the being that you are in the third dimension. And it also includes a certain amount of forgetfulness of who you truly are in an energetic sense, and a lowering of your ability to perceive energetic things happening about you. And only certain chakras, up till now, only certain chakras of your being awake and alive and broadcasting and interacting. And as we get to the fourth dimension, the heart opens further. There is much more understanding of energetic beingness and of spiritual connection to source. And in the fifth dimension, you are on a higher level, which is all about understanding reverence for life and brotherhood and oneness, and therefore community, and therefore soul satisfying work, and not using each other, not abusing each other, having a reverence for the earth itself and all of creation, and understanding the threads that connect all source, all things that came from source, and how love is the answer to all of the problems. So we are headed in that direction. And you have been speaking with beings who are pulling you in that direction from even higher dimensions, the sixth and seventh dimension, the eighth and ninth dimension. And there are beings of pure light and pure energy in the 10th and 11th dimension. There are seraphim and cherubim. There are beings that are extremely close to source, which source would be difficult to codify because it includes all of them. There are whole planetary societies which exist in higher dimensions, seventh dimension, eighth dimension, ninth dimension. And the interesting thing is, vibration is about perception too. And your senses are keyed for the third dimension and to open slightly to perceive things perhaps in the fourth dimension and maybe even the fifth dimension. Also, though, lower, like the things that vibrate just out of reach of your physical senses in the astral plane, for example, ghosts and impressions, and sometimes heavier, more denser, difficult things. These are invisible to you in normal, most normal things, because they vibrate just out of reach of your usual senses in that dimensional. The dimensions and the vibration level are all connected. Wavelengths and frequencies are important in defining a dimension. And so when you meet with an eighth dimensional being, its frequency is very fast, and you can't perceive it with your regular eyes, your regular physical senses. You need to use your clairs and your third eye and your other kinds of senses, your higher senses. So that is all about that kind of dimensions. But when pop culture discusses multidimensional multiverse, they're talking about something else. They are talking about, this is not about the dimensions that we see as a hierarchy and the frequency of vibration. It is about, are there alternate universes which have split off from an original thought and are having the same basic trajectory and the same the same, are each of them moving on a timeline through space and time, but making different choices and having alternate realities. And if you exist in all of these at once, could you cross over? Could you meet yourself in some of these other multiverses? And would you be different because you had different experiences and made different choices? Now, this is a realm which is complex because the mind of God is capable of anything. And the mind of God is always into richness of experience. And if the mind of God creates step down to creating characters, I say characters because it is as if you were writing a book or a story yourself. You would create characters and they would be just as real because they came from your perception. Why not use the same characters and have them have different possibilities and create different stories, and then you have a more richness of experience and more everything, more sensory detail, more possibilities, more stories, more drama, more stimulation, more learning. And so, yes, this exists. This does exist, and you are playing a part in that. And it is very important to keep those multiverses. Probably we should stay away from the word dimension here because it gets confused with the dimensional hierarchy of frequency. The multiverses, however, you may be playing a part in these multiverses in terms of coming into incarnation and making different choices and having different experiences. But it is very important to keep these experiences all separate from one another because when they intersect, there is, unless you are at a very high level of perception and understanding, chaos could result from the intersection of these timelines, which is basically what had been assumed up till now, in all of the pop culture references, most of the books and movies and the TV series that did, if somebody went into the wrong multiverse, you're creating a problem because you're creating a timeline where someone was dead and now they're alive, or there are two of you in one place and you can't exist simultaneously. And this is all very confusing. However, lately you see that there's a lot of exploration into multiverses intersecting and a lot of interaction happening between them. This could be very chaotic, but I believe that it is also the human mind's way and Source's mind and the great mind's way of opening up your perception of what is possible and what is actually happening in the universe. And as you see it on your TV screen, you begin to believe that all this is possible in some way. Even if your logical mind says to you, this is fiction, it's someone's imagination, it's getting into your mind in a way that is very integrated into your belief system. And once you open to this belief, you can understand that these things are happening, and that also, if there is more intersection among these overlays, these multiverses, these simultaneous adventures of your soul that are happening, then you are expanding your mind to include possibilities that you never believed were possible before. Even if you don't have words for them, you begin to sort of have a sense that things out there are bigger than you initially believed. And many of the speed at which we are seeing the reflection in pop culture of what is happening is that we're seeing all of these multiverses being pulled together because we are on the ascension timeline. And the ascension timeline is thinner. It is the timeline which has been agreed upon by all the company of heaven, by Source, and internally by all of humanity, at least most of humanity that has decided to come on this path. And the ones that have decided not to come on this path will split off at some point into a multiverse of their own. But besides that problem, most of us are moving in a direction that goes to this golden age, that goes to this fifth dimensional upgrade. And it is a thin road. It is a road which you cannot have many detours and twisted ways. Eventually, in the next 10 years, all of these multiverses must be sort of pulled together, all of the varied experiences moved into one path, one highest timeline, one ascension road. And that must go to the fifth dimensional paradise, the golden age that we have predetermined and is being built even now with your energy and with the scaffoldings and the grids and the things that you've been working on for months. You understand? We are doing in the cosmos exactly what I told you to do. Our preferred destination here, our preferred final result is the achievement of the golden age that is better than any golden age before, that Earth moves into its ascension, planet and beings upon it, all together into a new golden age, which is all about love and community, soul satisfying work, reverence for life, cooperation, coordination, plenty for everyone, the proper distribution of resources, generosity of spirit, no fear. All of these things is what we're building towards. This is all of us together in the cosmos inventing this destination, just as I told you to invest yourself in a destination and imagine it with all the sensory detail that you can imagine and all the conversations and all the feelings that go with it. And then there will not be any possible alternate routes. There will not be any possible alternate results. There will not be any possible alternate sidebars or side trips. And so all of those that we have used for experience and fun and adventure must be pulled together, and everything is going to kind of coalesce into a single path at the end, except for the path that leaves some of those who refuse to evolve in a new direction where they can continue to experience and grow until they are ready for ascension. And so and it's the same as what I told you to do, in that the interim, we know where we are now, we know where we're going, and in between there's still a lot of sort of unknowns. There's still a lot of, but if you groove it in your mind into the single path, if you say to yourself constantly, I believe in this ascension. I see it. I see that world. I see the world where everything is fair, where everything is beautiful, where there is no violence, where there is no fear, where there is no privation, where there is little disease or none, where there's reference for life. I see it. I see it. I've always believed in it. I want it. I long for it. It is part of my being. And then each and every one of you are then contributing to the vision and giving it power and giving it sensory detail and giving it emotional richness, so that there will be no possibility for any of these other multiverses or timelines to split off into anything else but that. You have to get there. And it is happening. There is no Right now, we know that we are past the tipping point, but you will speed things up if you will add your energy and your visualizations to the mix and not worry about how we get there. How we get there is not in your hands. It is, you create the you create the reality of your future by imagining your future and allowing the cosmos and its laws and source to arrange the details. And so when the dwarves come in and ask you to work on taking your own personal overlays off, what they're saying is that any place along your timeline where you have little detours or tendrils or other multiverses happening simultaneously because you perhaps had wanted to explore different choices or different possibilities, the overlays now do not serve you, because not all of them lead to the ascension. And so they're trying to help you cleanse and clear these things away quickly and easily, so that you will feel much more light, much more focused, much more confident that you are on your highest ascension timeline and you are headed in the right direction for the only possible destination that makes sense. And so I have bent your ear for a great long time, and it has been, I'm sure, painfully mind-blowing because there's no way to explain this in language. But I want you to understand how much your efforts, your thoughts, your feelings, your confidence, your positive outlook really does contribute to the convergence of everything the cosmos is doing now to move all of us into the place we wish to go. And you can, that is the, as they say, as above, so below. That is on the, what do they say? That on the ascension path and the squeezing together of the multiverses is part of the plan for the macro. And on the micro, you can practice the same technique to help you create positive effects and positive results in everything in your own life, from the most smallest detail to the most challenging, important event. And so we leave you with these wisdoms, these knowledges, these understandings of everything going on, with also the sense that we have every confidence in all of you. You are ahead of the curve. You are on your timeline for ascension. You are leading others with your light. You are powerful. You are magically creating positive things, even every day of your life, with every thought and every time you extend love to another. You are doing this, and we are proud of you, and we are awed at your courage, because we know that there are times when it is hard to do all of those things and it feels like heavy lifting. And so we do everything we can to help guide you, reassure you, tell you how powerful you are, and also to fence off some of the worst consequences so that you are guided away from extreme difficulties, unless your soul has signed up for this ahead of time, as part of your incarnation this time. And even so, even if you encounter a very, very difficult road, you will always be accompanied and supported and walked through with great love by all of us here. But we do not wish for you to have any suffering that is unnecessary in this life. And so we help you to steer yourself away from self-imposed suffering. Embrace joy. Reach out for the best that you wish for, and expect that you deserve and will have it. We will do our part to meet you in the middle. You are so loved. I hope that this little symposium helps you to understand all of what is going on and how to look at some of the things that are coming up in your culture, and also gives you some tools to shape your own life in the best possible way. Much love and a great blessing and a healing to all of you. From me, Merlin, who is master of transformative transmuting of matter and energy, who is master of magical thinking, and who is your friend always. And we have passed our hour. I'm trying to keep these things shorter so that you don't feel like overburdened with trying to watch them. But that was pretty exciting. What the heck did I mean by that? Anyway, Rachel's making comments here that are really great. Let's see. Let's see what some of them say. Okay, great. Okay, yeah, we said about the Midnight Library. Merlin Magic Dust, absolutely. Right. Highest timeline, yes. Click them to show up. I'm feeling bad because I made a banner. Look at this. Wait. Create a banner. Wait. Create a banner. No. Okay, wait. Ta-da! Merlin teaches us some practical magic hacks. Isn't it cool how that comes on there? And of course, I forgot to even put it up there because I was so busy getting into channeling. But anyway, I wanted you to see. I could have put another one. He talks about multiverses. But anyway, this was kind of an exciting thing. I learned a lot. And I think I do kind of understand some things a little better. And I don't think I could have unscrambled that with my own mind without him being in it. So I hope you got something out of it. And I hope that it was fun and that the understanding that you get from this continues to sort of like expand and blossom as you go along. I'm just going to check the Facebook page to see if there's any other questions that I can answer before I sign off. Nope. I think that it's all kind of up to date here. This was very exciting and it worked real well. So I suppose that the next time I see you, it will be on StreamYard again, and you can watch from Facebook or from YouTube. And that will be good for you to have choices. Thanks for coming. And if you're watching this on replay at any time, it is just as potent and just as relevant as it is today when you watch it. And thank you all, present and any time, who are here. Thank you all for coming and supporting this endeavor and sharing with me the blessing of having this wisdom given to us. Lots of love from me and from Merlin and from everybody in the cosmos. Bye.